Welcome to the Writer Reads Flash Fiction. This is from day 23 of another 365 days of flash fiction, and it's titled Surviving. I lived on Portman Downs, where the grasses waved and the hills rolled like an ocean frozen in time. I walked them every morning, carefully, so I didn't draw attention, quickly, so I wasn't caught out in the open by the dead. They came less often now, but they were hungrier and as desperate as any creature left alive. I killed them all. At least they no longer came in hordes, or even hunting packs. They came alone, and I made sure they died that way, and never rose again. It was 8:39, on a day as close to winter as a day could get, when I saw 5 figures come shambling over the rise. It was a typical undead gait, and I froze, doing the math to check my chances of taking them down in hand-to-hand. They weren't good, not on my own, so I did the math again, counting out the bullets I had left and whether or not I could spare them with the need to hunt still strong. I could see the endless setting and patrol of snares looming in my future, with all the extra risks that entailed. Damn. How many shots I'd need was up to me. How many of the 5 I had to kill depended entirely on just how fast these fuckers moved. Once the shooting started, I realized I'd closed my eyes and opened them. There were still 5 figures, only now they were descending. I could see their silhouettes, black against the yellow grass. And they were closer than I'd like. They were closing fast, too, even though their gait still shambled. I wondered exactly what they were. No dead man moved that swiftly, not in all of my experience. I stared until I was sure they'd seen me, and then I raised the rifle, centered the dark blot of a head in the sights, and slowly squeezed the trigger. They were gone when the bullet snapped out, and I felt my insides freeze. That was too fast for my taste. I turned to run, taking 2 strides before a shape rose out of the grass before me. I rebounded off its hide. I kept hold of the rifle, bringing it up and firing blindly at the biggest part of shadow I could see, as I landed hard and scrambled back, trying to get out of its path. It roared, but I kept firing, skittering backward on my ass, trying to get some distance before I stood. A sudden, constant clicking told me I'd fired the rifle dry, so I reversed it, using it like a club, pulling my knees under me so I could stagger to my feet. Just then, a second shadow wrapped its arms around me from behind and squeezed me tight. It took minutes of frantic struggle to realize they hadn't started feeding, that I was staring at a semicircle of 4 and was still held tight. And then I realized something else. Not a single one of them had a face, not that I could see, and they were shadows, even up this close, even in the light. I stilled, willing the arms pinning mine to loosen, but they didn't, and not a one of them spoke a word. Since I was held good and tight, I figured I'd use my backstop for support, and tried a 2-legged kick into the body of the thing in front, found myself twisted around so the blows didn't land. The smooth, hard shell of a very blank faceplate rested up against my neck. "You done?" it said, and I shuddered to a halt. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice wispy from disuse. "Who are you?" came back to me, and I had the horrible feeling they didn't find it funny. "Coralie," I said. "You survived? I didn't get sick, if that's what you mean. And you haven't been eaten. Why?" Fear shimmered through me, made my throat grow tight and my skin crawl. Why? I don't know. I had survived. I hadn't fallen ill, and I hadn't been eaten. I had hidden from, fought, and killed every dead man and woman who had come my way. The children had never made it through the fever. "I don't know," I whispered, hanging my head to hide the tears crawling from the edges of my eyes. I flexed against the arms that held me, but they flexed back. I twisted, heart hammering, until one of the shadows at my side reached out and gripped my jaw, turning my head to stare at the tracks my tears had left. "The dead don't cry," it said, and ran a finger down the side of my face. I stared, breathing hard, pushing against that tightened grip, fear stealing my words, until I snatched them back. They looked reptilian under those faceplates. Pretty, in a terrifying way. "What are you?" It stared, and then replied, "We are the Lizardine, the keepers of mankind." "You sent the virus?" The creature's jaws snapped shut, its eyes narrowed. "Not this virus. You did that to yourselves." "Not fucking likely," I snapped. Its eyes widened, but whatever it was going to say was lost in a distant, rising howl, and I started struggling anew. "Let me go. We have to go." I twisted, kicking back against a body as hard as stone and just as unyielding. "We have to evacuate." "No shit! Now let me go." I figured I could make it to the nearest shelter. "They would dig you out in seconds. This is a migration of all that's left." I stared, with no words left. I had watched the migrations. They had never climbed the downs, but skirted its feet, a distant carpet of living decay. The Lizardine warrior looked from the horizon and back to me. "We will take you to the others." Others had survived? I stopped struggling, daring to hope for the first time in an age. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit like. If you would like to hear more, please hit subscribe. And I'll check you later. Take care out there.